boy! A Roger Federer fan wakes up from an 11 years coma just to find he is still a top-ranked tennis player and that another Bush is trying to be president. He asks to be put to sleep again. Chinese President Xi Jinping visits the US for the first time. But don't worry, he is Chinese, but he is the original one. We've checked all the authenticity certificates. A red-headed extremist plots to kill all the royal heirs except Prince Harry, so a ginger will be king. You see why everyone thinks you guys have no soul? We're not wrong! Yo soy Chumel Torres and this is El Pulso. Amigos, to ignore something. A very useful thing if your couple is the most clicked profile in Ashley Madison's, but a very sad thing if you're Miss South Carolina.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the US on a world map. Why do you think this is?
Well, last week ignorance was the salsa in the taco of scandal. This is because last week the gates of murder opened and the elite of villains gathered around the table at the demonic festival of death 2015, or as some call it, the Republican debate. All candidates got together in the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum in California in order to debate on important matters such as foreign policy, economics, and what in the name of God is going on Donald Trump's hair. And when 23 million people have their eyes on the television, the stakes are high. But as we saw these people trying to overshadow each other, there was some subjects that really got our attention. And not because they're bright standpoint, but the opposite. We were getting really bored watching this thing. But then, a spark of comedy. A light of hope in the cave of dullness. A rope of fun appeared in this boredom when Donald Trump told a story linking vaccination to autism. Vaccines cause autism? This is the same argument as to say, pictures steal your soul. Yes, we have seen selfies taking the self-respect out of our youth, but not their souls. The debate continued and Carly Fiorina got the chance to respond to the vicious comment that Trump made about her looks with this bomb.
I think women all over this country heard very clearly what Mr. Trump said.
We haven't seen a better display of polite response to an attack since Taylor Swift outselling Kanye West with her last album. In regards to the Clinton email scandal, former Kansas Governor Mike Huckabee said that Hillary Clinton was under investigation by the FBI because she destroyed government records. Which is not true because she had the authority to delete those emails. But really? Is this still a thing? We're dealing with Syria, ISIS, and the refugee crisis around the world, and you guys are still worrying about emails? I think that the GOP had better things to worry about, such as, why is Donald Trump a candidate? Irina kept saying that in her time at Hewlett-Packard, the size of the company doubled. And oh yes, it did. But it was because they merged with Compaq.
Hey, listen, come back. Come on, look at the husband now. I'm twice the man he is.
Yeah, Frank, you weigh 220 pounds. You're 3 times the man he is. Trump also said that illegal immigration costs more than $200 billion a year. And not only there's no evidence of that. Actually, the deportation of the 11 million immigrants he suggests could cost taxpayers $137 billion or more. So Trump, stop talking about politics and just stick to making us laugh, okay? But as much as we wanted this to be a racist, sexist, alt-right conservative comedy extravaganza, it hurts to say that there were actually some good talking points. And this is why I'm going to the other side of the studio to present our next segment. Well, this is it. As you can see, it's a very modest studio. But I am proud to present our new segment, Singers, in which we will analyze the best backfire question each candidate had in the debate. Let's begin. In response to Trump and Fiorina on their business track records, comes Chris Christine with this awesome answer.
While I'm as entertained as anyone by this personal back and forth about the history of Donald and Carly's career, for the 55-year-old construction worker out in that audience tonight who doesn't have a job, who can't fund his child's education, I got to tell you the truth. They could care less about your careers. They care about theirs. Let's start talking about that on this stage and stop playing the games.
In response to question about violating the 11th commandment, prohibiting attacks on fellow Republicans, Bobby Jindal dropped the mic.
I would tell my fellow Republicans, let's stop treating Donald Trump like a Republican. If he were really a conservative and 30 points ahead, I would endorse him. He's not a conservative. He is not a liberal. He's not a Democrat. He's not a Republican. He's not an independent. He believes in Donald Trump.
In response to Trump's comment on Bush's wife and his immigration views, Bush slapped with Bing.
You're proud of your family, just as I am.
Correct.
To subject my wife into the middle of a raucous political conversation was completely inappropriate, and I hope you apologize for that, Donald.
And then, our favorite.
You know, there are a lot of us Americans who believe that we are going to have trouble someday paying back the interest on our debt because politicians have run up mountains of debt using other people's money. That is, in fact, precisely the way you ran your casinos. You ran up mountains of debt as well as losses using other people's money, and you were forced to file for bankruptcy not once,
I never filed
not
for
twice,
bankruptcy.
4 times, a record 4 times. Why should we trust you
Mr.
to
I'll tell you
manage
why.
the
It's very
finances
simple.
of this nation
I tell you,
any differently
I
than you
was
manage
running-
the finances
Charlie,
of your casinos?
Charlie.
Well, this is it. You have it now. By the end of the debate, the screen flipped and saw the polls showing Trump losing strength because, thank God, and Fiorina being the undisputable champion on this one. Well deserved. But we still have to wait what the voters are going to say, and it's going to be a long journey. But believe me, if there's still ignorance in the debate, there will still be some fun for us folks.
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and
Regresamos. This is The Flash! St. Peter's spokesperson on Earth and rock star of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, visited Cuba for the first time. The Pope, with a holy mojito in one hand, celebrated Mass with almost 500,000 of Pope believers. Is that the correct name? Yeah. Among them was the Cuban president Raúl Castro and the president of Argentina, Cristina Fernandez. Nope, nobody knows what she was doing there. I want him to autograph my Bible and maybe a selfie. Cristina said, completely embarrassing herself. Miss Fernandez, just go back to your country and please get back the habanos you have in your purse. Thank you. During the Mass, the Pope said, the Catholic service is never ideological, as it serves not ideas, but people. At that point, the audience was asking if he was going to start performing the DJ set, but then they remembered they don't even know what a DJ is because socialism. This visit was a big deal because he's considered an important part of the rearrangement of diplomatic relations between Cuba and the USA. And after the Mass was finished, he had a meeting with Fidel Castro, who raised from the dead and dressed like an Italian gangster in a sporty outfit. Then they had a talk about the things they have in common, such as economic, politics, and hating the homosexuals. Not just kidding, they don't talk about that. They emailed about it. They've also exchanged books. Pope Francis gave Castro 3 titles, including the Book of Sermons by Mr. Castro's former teacher, while in return the Pope received Fidel and Religion, a collection of interviews with a Brazilian priest. We hope he never visits Mexico because our president Enrique Peña would give him the cat in the hat, but just after he finishes it. So please, no spoilers for our commander-in-chief. The next stop in this Popecella, this La Pobluza, this South by Pope West, is Philadelphia on September 26th and 27th to celebrate the World Meeting of Families Congress. Pope Francis will be in the very own place that Abraham Lincoln talked about slavery, and he will talk about immigration. After that, he will visit a jail, and finally Juanes is going to give a concert. Pope Francis asked to be taken back to jail and the key from his cell to be thrown away, because anyone would prefer that over listening to Juanes, and we don't blame him. Personally, we would like the Pope to do the Rocky Steps at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, just like Jesus Christ did. Amigos, being rich, something that can get you eaten by Aerosmith, certainly is a privilege a lot of US citizens can brag about. Well, this time, wealthiness is a privilege New York City can also brag about. And you might say to men, of course, New York City can brag about on wealthiness. They got Wall Street, they got Broadway, the Rockefeller Center. Well, and you not be wrong about that matter, but the thing is that New York City is also rich in its jailing system, since it's been jailing the same people over and over for the past 8 years. That's right, amigo. In New York City, if you're homeless, mentally ill, addicted to drugs, or all of the above, it's pretty damn sure thing you're gonna end up in jail. Maybe you get picked up from sleeping on the street, or police finds a crack rock in your pocket, or you're the lead singer of the Libertines, you're going to jail. A little while later, you get out, and a little while after that, you get picked up again, and then the cycle repeats itself forever. And if you have really bad luck, you can end up on Rikers Island, a prison with a record of indoor violence so brutal that makes Chris Brown feel like Charlie Brown. The American Journal of Public Health published a study of the 800 most frequent incarcerated people between 2008 and 2013 in the New York jail system. It's like the Forbes list, but with criminals being less dangerous. And found that 88% of the detentions had a misdemeanor as a top charge, and the city has spent $129 million on those 800 detainees alone. NYPD, freeze! Hey, Rusty, it's you again. How's it going, brother? What's it gonna be now? Crack? A joint? An old whack in public? Well, I guess it's gonna be pissing the officer's shoes. That's a new one. Obviously, if you look at these numbers, it calls for a change in the policy, said the judge who presides over the Brooklyn's mental health court, reminding addicts and mentally ill small-time offenders to treatment instead of tossing them into a cell. It's an easy answer. But ending the NYPD's tactic of aggressively arresting people for low-level crimes seems to be an urgent one. From our Pulso, we hope all these millions are spent in preventing crimes, not in paying for the commodities of regular law offenders over and over again. Or at least, if you're willing to pay millions for them, don't beat them up when they're incarcerated. What are you? Mexico's jailing system? California, the Golden State. Beautiful beaches, gorgeous women, and VWs filled with laughing hippies. Well, this week the Beetle was the Yoko Ono of the news. All because last week the US Environmental Protection Agency said on Friday that Volkswagen, the biggest car maker in the world, used software in the diesel VW and Audi branded cars that deceive regulators measuring toxic emissions. VW is cheating on tests. Yes, just like you did. With a sophisticated software algorithm on some cars that detects when the car is undergoing official emission testing and turns full emission controls on only during the test. This Volkswagen software is a defeat device as defined by the Clean Air Act. Just like you, but your defeat device in college was Wikipedia. Volkswagen, revered by many consumers for turning out precision-engineered high-tech cars at modest prices, has for years promoted its TDI turbo diesels as a clean and efficient alternative to hybrids. But right now, VW is the Lance Armstrong in the automotive industry. VW has admitted selling 482,000 cars with diesel engines since 2009. The affected diesel models are Jetta, Beetle, Audi, A3, Golf, and Passat. I personally am deeply sorry that we have broken the trust of our customers and the public, said Professor Dr. Martin Winterkorn, CEO of VW and Commander-in-Chief in the German Cheating Association. This scandal could cost the company up to 18 billion in fines, but the real damage is done to the VW's brand. Well, with these engineers, what did you expected? From a Pulso, we will be following very close this one because the main exporter to the US of these VW cars is the plant in Puebla, Mexico. So it can be very harmful to more than 17,000 employees of the plant. So please, VW, do the things the right way, dude. Regresamos. Amigos, communism. That political idea who brought us Ivan Drago and provoked the saddest death in the history of the chick flicks for men. The death of Apollo Creed. Fuck you, Lenin! Fuck you, Marx! Fuck you, hypothetical wealth state! So I was saying, socialism in the past 50 years was a term that implicated shame, insults, and most of all, vicious chase by the CIA and the feds. But for Bernie Sanders, it is not. For Bernie, the new face in the race to being candidate for the Democrat Party in 2018. Being socialist is being progressive, and he's gonna tell you why. Using Denmark as an example, he told that the social democratic countries had better healthcare, childcare, and higher education systems than those in the US states. All of this in our fanatic religious show, The Colbert Report. Then he also said, what you have is a society where government should actually represent working people and the middle class rather than large campaign donors. This is America, Bernie! You think we should care more about people than about money? What do you think we have? Hearts? Bernie, come on. Leaving the jokes aside, Sanders arrived to put a lot more debate in a Democrat race that was almost completely out of the spotlight because an orange famous face in the other party was getting all the attention by all the massive networks, especially those who start with F and end with X. I mean Fox Networks, Fox News. I'm talking about the Fox News right now. So, the email famous favorite in the polls and smile as fake as Trump's hair, Hillary Clinton is worried about him? Well, she should. Clinton picked up 42% with Sanders grabbing 25% and Biden, who has not made a decision about running, with 22%. Other candidates polled within the margin of error. Also, Sanders is becoming the hipster candidate, with support of almost 70 artists, like half of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, musicians from Edward Shape and the Magnetic Zeros, another communist hippies, and also Serj Tankian from System of a Down. Awesome. Somebody having the support of System of a Down, that's pretty badass. I don't know, amigos, but if Hillary doesn't do something fast, I'm gonna fall for this new metal candidate and his, I can totally visualize them, amazing jingles. More wood for the fires that raise and polls. Other candidates caught in the headlights of the Trump. Eating bricks is the pastime activity. The toxicity of our party, You bought the world, you bought for Sanders. Now, somewhere between the fucking Clintons, Hillary Clinton and Steve. Somewhere between the Hillary Clintons and Steve. Vote for Sanders. You have to vote for Sanders if you want to defeat Trump. You have to vote for Sanders if you want to defeat Trump. Let the poll games begin. That is all. Well, that's it for us. My name is Chumel Torres, and this is El Pulso. Your subscription and thumbs up are greatly appreciated. I'm gone, but before I go, I like to tell you, like every week, los amo. Estúpidos.